Hey, FableThan here, and welcome back to another video on our art journey. As you can tell, we are continuing the art piece that we started for our first video. This little witch character that, I guess they're kind of like in like a shop or store kind of situation. But today, we're going to be working on the backdrop. Now, personally, as I mentioned in the first video of this series that I'm starting, I'm not the best artist when it comes to things like doing a backdrop. And I think that's going to show that even after we finish the line art for this section of the artwork, it's going to still look a bit rough. But again, like, the purpose of this series is just kind of documenting how I improve, challenging myself to draw more backdrops and draw characters inside of backdrops. It's still going to be pretty simple this week, just because I'm still kind of, getting used to, setting this up, kind of finding my stride. I am a bit down today. I'm not sure if it's because of the weather, because where I am, it is kind of raining and a bit kind of gloomy. But at the same time, I really like the rain, so I don't really think that's the cause, but I think it's just, just really trying to find my footing. Since this is a new series, I want to get pretty consistent with it. I want to, again, I'm not really using a script for these videos because I really want this to be kind of more authentic. That's not saying a script isn't authentic. I just think sometimes it can be a bit easier for me just to kind of talk things out. And yeah, before, I kind of, go into anything else, I do want to say thank you to everyone who's kind of watched the past episode. It doesn't really matter to me how many people watch per se, but it does feel good to see people actually want to watch this episode, or watch this series rather. It's awesome to hear that people are interested in it, seeing the few likes that the last video got. Also, shout out that one MTF. I'm not sure if I said your name right, so I am sorry, but it was really awesome to be able to kind of talk with you in the comment section of the last video. We were talking a bit about my other series on the channel, which, that's fun. I'm really glad that people are taking interest in not just this video, but in the other series I'm going to be making. So, yeah, I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate, from everyone. And, yeah. And I guess that's kind of a reminder that, like, comment down below. I'm not sure, there might be some days I might not be able to respond to everyone, but I am happy to talk to as many people as I can, and it can be really for anything. It doesn't have to be about my series, it doesn't have to be about the art that we're doing for this video. It could literally be anything. Again, I'm not going to try and be repetitive, but yeah, I just wanted to take that time to, thank everyone for watching, thank the people that are sticking around and wanting to be around for the channel. And yeah, like I said, like, there's gonna be days where this series might not go as long. I know the last video was about 7 minutes. I don't know if this video is gonna be that long, but I do like that 6 to 7 minute timeline. I do, once the weather gets a bit more nice, I do want to kind of take these settings outside of just kind of like my own desk space and room, and like, probably go into the city, go into various parks or something, or a cafe. We can start talking about that stuff. Just for now, like, at least for this week, I'm really just trying to figure stuff out. I am actually graduating soon, hopefully graduating. So that's also kind of like in the back of my head. I got some exams that are coming up, so for the next few weeks to months, I'm gonna be a bit busy and preoccupied with that. But I thought this would have been a fun way, while during all my exams, I can, draw and stuff. Because, when life starts getting busy, it can be kind of hard to find time to, 1, pursue my hobbies of drawing, and 2, work on videos. So this was kind of a nice little meet waypoint for those two kind of, I guess, conflicting interests. But at the same time, I think this is maybe a good example. I was going to say great, but probably more likely a good example of what can be done in these kinds of situations. Life gets busy for everyone, but at the same time, if you are creative, if you do like drawing, if you do like, making videos or something like that, like, being able to find that kind of, like, those small moments where you can still do all those things, even if they're not exactly to how you want it to get done. It's more of kind of that idea of, like, keeping things going. So like I got some big projects I've wanted to do since last year, but because of how busy I am, I'm pushing them off till 2026. And I think that's okay. Like it sucks that I can't do them right now, but it gives me a lot of time to kind of like step back, think about what I really want to do, make sure I'm in a place both mentally, physically, and creatively to kind of make those bigger projects. And, again, that's part of why I made this series, I want this to be kind of me following in that path for those bigger projects. I'm not going to talk too much about what those bigger projects are because, again, things can always happen. Things might not work out the way I want them to work out. But I am someone who I enjoy making, like, little games, little stories, little comics and stuff like that. I do like animation. On my first original main channel and on this channel, I do some small animation stuff here and there, but animation is super time consuming. So I think next year, if I was to make a creative project, it would be more, comic strips, it would be more like video games and stuff like that. But yeah, like if you were to take something out of this video, because again, this is our art journey, I would probably say, understand to kind of keep a plan for yourself, but also keep things pretty fluid. Life is going to catch up to you. Only a very small percentage of people actually can get like monetized on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm actually monetized on my original channel, FableThan's Corner, and even though I'm monetized, right, I have like about 2,000 subscribers, I don't have enough consistency on that channel where, I can make a living of that. And I might not be able to even make like a substantial amount of pocket change till maybe like 3 to 5 years down the line. So, it's all about kind of doing small things here and there. Obviously, I don't think YouTube is going to be like this long-term kind of plan for me. I do like the idea of, actually having a job and using YouTube as more of a way to express my hobbies, But yeah, that shouldn't dissuade anyone who does want to make it big on this platform. I just think that it's more important to kind of prioritize your passions and, enjoying the process of making videos rather than worrying about being famous or making YouTube revenue and stuff like that. Because I do think once you start thinking in that parasocial way of, getting famous, making money, that kind of stuff, you are going to get a bit kind of hampered with that situation. Like, I definitely knew early on, like, in my YouTube channel, my first one, when I was getting, like, 20 to maybe 200 subscribers, I was very, very, like, worried about, like, optimizing stuff. Actually, a big part of why my main channel stalled was less about how busy I got and more because I got worried about optimization. Like, I was watching a lot of these, like, YouTube how-to videos to grow on the platform, trying out the things that they were recommending, and I really think it hurt my channel more than helped it. Like, yes, granted, some of the tips were helpful, like understanding like how YouTube is changing, what kind of content was YouTube moving towards. However, I found that the content I was doing based off of a lot of those tips, the changes I were making, wasn't helping my channel grow and actually kind of hindering it because that wasn't the type of content my already established audience was coming in for. And there was a level of like trying to figure out what I want, what I would want for the channel. So as you can see, there was a cut there. I really do think that like this whole YouTube process has to be something you enjoy first and foremost. And your own enjoyment might not always translate to going viral or, getting those big views. So now, does that mean like necessarily you should make, 2 separate channels, one for optimizing and going viral and one for your own personal interests? Maybe, I don't really know. I mean, technically that's what I'm kind of doing right now, where, I don't really enjoy, I enjoy talking about Pokemon, I enjoy talking about Minecraft, I enjoy talking about Dragon Ball, but I didn't want that to be the only thing I was going to be known for when creating on the platform. So the smaller channel, even if it doesn't grow as big as that original channel I made, it is kind of more up my alley for what I'm enjoying, what I'm taking in, no one might even remember who I am, but just kind of the fact that I can create something and put it out there, that's very enjoyable for me, right? That it's my own kind of thought process, my own kind of creative expression. And that's not to say that, like, I can't create something about, Pokemon or Minecraft and create it as a creative thing, like a comic strip or something. But it just kind of, it feels a bit more special when it's a creative property that I'm building on. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it's one thing to kind of, I have like two separate interests rather, where it's like one thing I really enjoy being able to express my favorite hobbies and shows and games and finding a community that I can do that with. And it's another thing being able to find an audience that will be interested in the creative ideas I come up with, just kind of separate from that. And I kind of came to that realization that those two ideas aren't the exact same thing, and different audiences would kind of be attracted to those different points. So yeah, I mean, again, I'm kind of going off on a long topic, but like, I really do think, kind of, if I have to sum up the video and end it here, I think really finding that kind of real passion of why you want to create something, or what you're trying to create, who you're trying to connect with, can go a long way on, whether it's an art journey or a, just growing here on YouTube. So yeah, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Really, to me, my biggest priority is, getting to hear what you guys think or how you guys feel. It doesn't even have to be about anything in this video. And yeah, this has been FableThan, and I hope you all enjoyed.